There's a time nearly but not quite to the point of shattering when everything in you is crying out, let go. When the load is more than you can carry, when the road forward is too dark, when the world is asking too much of you. We've all been there. We've all stood on the edge. And we've all had to choose. Do I give up? Or do I keep going? But what about that choice? It's just never about whether you succeed or fail. It's not a win or loss proposition. It's something more than that. It's something to do with what kind of person you become along the way. Think back to the last time you wished to give up. Maybe it was on a project that wasn't turning out right, on a goal that didn't seem attainable, or on a test that never seemed to end. What kept you from quitting? Or if you did give up, what would have been different if you hadn't? The ancient Stoics didn't think so. They didn't believe in stubborn persistence. They believed in intelligent persistence, in the knowledge of how to stop, where to place the boundary between what is and what is not in your control, in the knowledge that struggle is the path, that living in struggle is where you are made complete. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, has once written in his personal journal, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That is, the thing that bothers you most is what you have to keep on doing in order to move forward. But let's be real, simple to say, hard to do. So why are we departing? And how are we going to find the courage to continue when everybody wants to depart? First, exhaustion. Not a bodily one, but the sort that grates into your bones. The sort wherein merely putting one foot forward looks like the impossible. Second, fear. Fear that we're not good enough. Fear that we'll fail. Fear that even if we succeed, our success will be moot. And third, futility. That sneaky feeling that whatever we do won't count. That voice that says, what's the point? These are the enemies of persistence. But they are also, if we can learn to overcome them, the very things that can help us learn to persevere. Think about exhaustion, for example. The Stoics never idealized pain for its own sake. They did suggest rest, but rest for a purpose. Seneca spoke of having to withdraw, regroup, think again, and then come back stronger. Even the most tireless fighters need to hone their blades. And then you have fear. Solution. Focus on that which you can control. You can't guarantee a result, but you can guarantee your attempt. You can't dictate that people think of you in a certain way, but you can dictate your integrity. And futility, that's the hardest one, because it's not effort, it's purpose. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist and Auschwitz survivor, wrote that camp survivors weren't necessarily the strongest. Those were the people who had a why, a purpose to keep going. So ask yourself, what's my why? There's a lovely Japanese technique that is kintsugi, the gold fixing of fractured ceramics. It is thought that the fractures aren't hidden. They are visible. They are part of the object's history, part of its strength, part of its beauty. We just as much. Consider someone you highly respect. It is likely they did not end up where they did without being scarred. Scarred, that is, of the times they would have willingly quit. Thomas Edison once stated, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before one had the courage to publish Harry Potter. Even the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus began as a slave. His body was bruised, but his spirit was not rattled. What if your worst moment is just a necessary chapter in a novel still being written? This is where it gets interesting, because not giving up doesn't always equal bulldogging in the same manner. Sometimes it means turning around, about turning without losing your center. The Stoics called this the art of acquiescence, accepting what is and then learning to navigate within it. Maybe don't give up isn't do the same thing again. Maybe it is, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on becoming. Don't give up on finding a way, even though it might not be the way you first envisioned. Now, if there were a small kitten near one with an extremely wise-looking little face, it would most likely shove your hand away and say, "You are stronger than you think." And also don't forget to have some fun. Because here's the thing, perseverance isn't necessarily gritting your teeth. It's enjoying the effort, interest in the struggle. The Stoics weren't stoic, crabby guys. They lived to the fullest its sorrows and its delights. They understood that strength is not lack of joy. It's the ability to go on in spite of having moments of lightness. So if you're tired, rest. If you're afraid, focus on the next small step. If you're questioning whether it's worth it, remember your why. And if all else fails, ask, what would the Stoic kitten do? probably take a nap, then try again. So here's the question to you. What's one thing you're not giving up on? Or what's one thing you nearly gave up on but didn't? Tell us in the comments below, because your story could just be what someone else needs to keep moving. And if today feels heavy, remember, you're not alone. Every great story has moments where the hero wants to quit, but the ones who endure, they are the ones who change the world and themselves. So don't give up. Not today. Not yet.